Hello, everyone. I am joined here today by Deaton III, UFC lightweight. He takes on Alex Munoz on July 15th. Carl, how we doing today?
Shit, I'm good, man.
Good, good. I love to hear it. So you started MMA during after college when you were wrestling, but what really started your love for the sport? Was it the wrestling itself, or what did you like about MMA? What intrigued you about it?
Winning the lifestyle, uh, the discipline to it. I guess take the same thing from wrestling. You can be on a good team, but you yourself can not be good, or vice versa. You can be a stud and be on a not as good as a team. So, I like the MMA aspect of that. It's very individual. It's combat, and it's similar to the wrestling style, lifestyle, and to get to the top of the state tournaments, college tournaments, Olympians. It's kind of like I pulled that same discipline over into MMA.
Got it. No, I definitely understand. MMA is the one sport that it's all up to you. Like obviously, you train with other people, you have your coaches, you have everything, but in the end, it's all up to your work ethic, how hard you want it, and it's a very individualistic sport. So I like that. That's the reason you chose it because everything is then on your shoulders and you can control your fate. So,
Mhm.
you had to call up to get to fight with Joe Solecki. It was short notice. I want to say it was like 9 days notice, something along those lines. So just tell me about like what it was like getting that call to step in for the UFC and what your initial reaction was.
Oh man, I'm still going through it. Life changing. I know I owe a lot to my coaches, my management, Ruby management, Danny and Jake. Forever, good dudes, and I'm excited. That was monumental for me. Uh, I can't wait to. I'm sorry to the UFC. I haven't been there earlier. Just to get in there and punch these guys in their chops earlier. So what it is just acknowledging myself, being proud of myself to take the next jump. Coming off the regional scene, I was on the regional scene, doing my thing, and to get the next jump on the top tier competition, the best league in the world, man, it's fucking beautiful, dude. And this is the start for me to make my name and make my title runs.
No, definitely, I agree. And like you said, you had been calling for that UFC like debut for a bit. You had been on Instagram tagging Dana White in all your posts. You wanted that fight. So I want not that fight, but that contract. So I wanted to ask though, after the Blazingam fight, did you know that you were going to be a possible candidate for the UFC because you had just beat Justin James and then you had an impressive second round submission in that fight? Did you know that there was a possibility that the UFC was going to be calling soon?
Oh yeah, it
Hmm.
was ready, and I was staying, and I wasn't gonna just bank on staying ready. So I was scheduled to keep fighting. I was gonna
Hmm.
keep
You got
fighting,
you
just
got
like
pulled out of a fight to fight Joe Solecki, right?
yeah. So I
Yes.
was staying. I was just gonna keep trolling, gonna keep building my my stats outside the UFC, and it just so happened, man, it was just my time, and we made it happen. And thanks to the UFC and thanks to Ruby.
Nice. Okay. So did it feel any different stepping in the UFC octagon than it was like normally fighting in the other promotions?
No, but I will say the UFC canvas is the best canvas I've ever laid my bare feet on. Hands down. It is, man. It's the best.
Has a different feel to it?
Yeah, it's the best of the
Or
best. That should
do you think it's like different material you're saying, or is it actually like just a different feeling when you step onto the UFC canvas?
say both, man. It's
That's
a
awesome.
thing, real deal.
So, would you say that your biggest takeaway from the fight? Sorry, what would you say your biggest takeaway from that Joe Solecki fight was?
Hand fighting, more hand fighting in
Mm,
grappling positions. I was gonna fight a 6'1" southpaw in 7 days. Switched it to a 5'8" orthodox grappler.
yep.
We were going into the same game plan to win, but I mean, taking away hand fighting and just more hand fighting. I was
Okay.
prepared to. I was prepared that fight. I didn't see myself losing, and he capitalized on it that night.
Okay.
Uh,
So your nickname is the Anishinaabe kid. First off, I wanted to say Buju. You're, of course, you're big in your culture. It's a big part of like who you are as a fighter, who you are as a person. Just go a little bit deeper into that and tell me a bit more about your culture and their values and things like that. I just want to love to know more.
Oh man, the culture it's a lot. It's a lot to learn. To give you just now, man, we value, I mean, we just like athletes, we value water, respect on the elders, respect on to your loved ones, knowing how to, take care of yourself and take care of the community that's helping provide. And everybody has a role. That's what we're we're taught, we're taught to treat with respect, take what you need and give what you don't have, or give what you got enough of. So just the basic nuts and bolts. And it's not always the easiest, especially in a world now where they're telling you to, you got to have this, or you got to be this, you got to have these many likes. You got to think, and you got to use be open minded and make the right calls and right decisions. What's good for you and your well being, and then take it from there.
I definitely agree. I love the values you guys share. It's really awesome. What is your heritage exactly? Is it Ojibwe?
Yes, I'm
Yes.
Ojibwe.
Okay.
And
Ojibwe. Okay.
what about you, man?
I'm just Italian. I'm just a pretty good journalist. I know my stuff. So you're fighting Alex Munoz on July 15th. Tell me a little bit. What do you know about him, if you know anything at all, and just what are you preparing for in this fight?
I know he's a wrestler. He's coming out of California, and I'm preparing to, easily finish this man. I was been watching his fights, the training. Nothing is, I want him to be his best. I want him to be his best so I can show the world that I am the best.
Mm-hmm.
And if he does, and I know he's going to be the best, because if he doesn't show up the best, I'm going to strangle him and cut off the air supply that much quicker,
Got it.
until the ref. So I'm excited for this fight. I know he's a heavy wrestler. He's southpaw leading in, and the man thinks he can strike. So I'm excited to check that check that striking out for him, stuff with a couple takedowns, and get him in and out of there.
Okay. So I know you. I know you train out of Vegas. I know I've seen you train at Syndicate a bit. I know it said you trained at Extreme Couture a bit too. What would you call your home at this point?
I'm at the academy under Greg Nelson in Minneapolis, Brooklyn Park, Minnesota.
Okay. Okay. So you'd say your home is still in Minnesota.
Yeah, as at this
Okay.
point right now.
Okay, got it. So, who are some guys you train with, either out there or just in general, that you'd like to shout out that really help you evolve as a fighter and help your game?
Man, there's a few of them.
Hmm.
Greg Nelson, head coach. You got Andy Grant. You got Nat McIntyre, the other coaches. Then you got fighters. You got Brandon Bergeron out here. You got guys that are undercover. They're not out there in the limelight, but the technique, the belts, the knowledge, very good. Very grips are there, transitions are there. Back takes are there. What I'm going to see in the cage is what I'm training on right now. So the other guys, you got Johnny Castaneda. He just fought this past weekend, got a win in the UFC.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolute beast, John Castaneda, absolute beast.
and then I'm training with other guys that are on the cusp too right now. It's a
Hmm.
young team. Got some old guys in there, and then you got guys that'll come in just under Greg that know what to do and know how to do it. So it's a fight all the way around. And this fight, I'm excited for this fight, man. I'm better than I was last time.
Okay, good. I mean, it's always good to hear that people, fighters are improving from fight to fight. But I can only imagine how much you improved in such a short time because really you weren't even able to showcase your full skills in your last fight. It was on short notice. You like you said, you were expecting a completely different fight than what Joe Solecki was. I really think now that you're settled in and you're having an opponent that you can focus on and like focus your game plan around. I really think we're going to see the full potential of Carl Deaton.
Man, and you just said it
Hmm.
because 7 days and you're locked in there with a guy that's gonna fucking be a beast on the back. Like, okay, well, in the first round, I thought I did rather well.
No, you
Hand
did. You did. You did do rather well. I didn't know much about you coming in. You impressed me fairly well with the way you were able to defend a lot of those submissions, and you almost got out of that second round. It was a couple seconds. It was like you really did well.
Thank you, man.
Of
And
course.
I was 4 seconds. I remember seeing the clock, and I'm like, yo, and I did not think I got choked out. And I woke up, I'm like, fuck, like
Hmm.
I was. Let's go to the third. I know,
Yeah.
like third. I feel the legs are going. He's tight and defending, so this is what's gonna be. And it wasn't the outcome, but yes, this fight right here is going to be the very best Carl Deaton that I've shown anyone in years.
Nice.
Leading up, the mind's there, the reps are there, and the fight camp's there. And I'll tell you this: anyone that says fight camp is good is lying. Fight camp sucks.
Fight camp never goes well.
I'm fucking up early, and I'm doing it, recovering, hitting back, doing everything I need to do. So I think that makes it good. So
Okay.
it is a good camp.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So your second fight against Nate Williams was at 145 pounds. Then your next fight was 5 months later, and it was at 160 pounds. Now you're at lightweight, and you're kind of staying there, but you also fought at featherweight not too long ago. What made you decide to go into the UFC and stay there at lightweight?
The matchup.
Okay, got it. So
Not-
it was just the Joe Solecki matchup initially that made you want to stay at lightweight, or then the Alex Munoz matchup as well.
right.
Got it.
I've
Okay.
inside the cage in all these gyms. I am training with the best around the world, and
Hmm.
these guys are fivers, 55ers, even sometimes 70s. And it's just I think it boils down to that night. You know, because you can say you're the biggest or you're the smallest, but there's guys that trump that stuff. There's guys that'll go in there and win in the same weight class that are lighter, and there's guys that do go in there and have more ass on them and win just because of that. So I think it comes down to being that fighter that wins those exchanges on that night. And with this fight, yeah, 155. I'm going to come in at 54 just because it sounds good to me.
Okay. Okay. I love to hear that. So your opponent hasn't fought in over 2 years, and you fought 4 different times in the time
Oh yeah,
span that he hasn't fought. Do you think that inactivity is going to be a major like disadvantage for him, and that it's going to be a big advantage for you come for fight night?
fucking a, it is. He walked there, and the last time he did, he was taking L's.
Hmm.
Um, I want him to come. I want him to bring in whatever he thinks he's gonna need. Pedal to the metal. I need you to show up.
Got it. So what do you exactly expect from him? Like, are you expecting him to try to strike with you, grapple with you? Like, what do you think he's going to try to do to you?
Gonna try and shit. I don't even know what he got, man. Honestly, I'm curious my damn self.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if I come up there and shoot for his life or try to fucking strike, and we'll see about that. And he stands southpaw. Maybe he changes it, but he's not. I mean, he's not dangerous. I know he can take a shot like a tough guy.
Yeah.
So my plan is to put knuckles on this dude more than he puts them on me.
Got
You
it.
know,
Okay. So I know you said you plan on finishing the fight and finishing it quick. Do you plan on knockout, submission, or just however it comes? Doesn't even matter.
I'll take a knockout all day, bro.
Yeah. Okay. You look.
My first real like KO, like walk off in the UFC right now, man. Hell yeah,
Hey man,
why not?
it's happened before. Like people's first like real knockouts in the UFC. That's definitely something that happens a lot. So I would love for you to join that club. That'd be awesome.
Hey, here it is. Let's
Yeah,
join.
yeah, no, seriously. So before that fight in the PFL against Alejandro Flores, you you had been supposed to fight for the PFL before at 145, and you had a weight miss. Just tell me a little bit about that weight miss and how you were able to correct it because no, it wasn't. My bad. It wasn't before the Alejandro Flores fight. It was before a different fight, but it was in the PFL as well. So just what were you able to do to correct that weight miss, basically?
Man, here it is. In New York,
Hmm.
you're only step on the scale to check your weight no times.
Oh, okay,
Previously, like they came and got me from the sauna. I was still cutting weight. I
okay.
haven't stepped on the scale because I didn't want to fucking chance it. Because if you don't make it, that's the scratch.
Yes, okay.
And you're fucked. If you're not on and if you're on, you're on, and if you're not, you're fucked. So in New York's really they're really on it. They don't want it that bad, that bad look of wit missing, a fighter's fucking falling over because they don't have it down. And I had it down. I just had my body I was still dripping when they came and got me, and I
Got
did
it.
miss. And it was just a sense of checking the weight, knowing where I was at, and starting to sweat. Other than that, man, I weighed in at like it was like 149.8 or
Okay.
something, and they came and got me out of the sauna. So and weigh-ins were at 11, and they came and got me at like 10:30 ish.
Ah,
So
okay.
even, I'm not saying I would have had all the weight off, but it was I'm sitting there sweating. So I'm gonna get down to where I can arguably say like, hey, if I need another hour, it's definitely off.
Yeah.
But you don't get to check your weight on that real scale. So that's when I was like, oh, all right, well, let's just go cut. I didn't even bother walking back. So they came and got me. And now it's over in Vegas, fight capital of the world. Vegas is king. They will let you check your weight.
Yeah.
And even PI, I like that. The PI and the PI scale and the commission scale that they weigh you in, man, that shit is on. So,
Mm-hmm.
if fighters, I respect that stuff on. They have that stuff on. So I think it
Okay.
was just gaining experience fighting in New York, right? And then having the commission rules like you got to do it this way. Okay, well, it's going to come down to numbers at this point. And it was a miss and something I didn't want for my career. But fast forward, we're in the UFC and we're making weight just like it was supposed to.
Yes,
So,
sir.
less I chalk it up and I take the L like myself because I wanted that. I wanted that fight too. But here we are. We're talking about Carl Deaton in the UFC July 15th, whooping Alex Munoz ass.
Yes,
So I
sir.
guess
No, yeah, everything obviously turned out well. I was just wondering, like, what was up with that, because it doesn't seem like you hadn't missed weight prior to that, and you hadn't missed weight after that. You made 145 no problem after that. So I knew it was some type of weird situation. But I did want to ask you about that Alejandro Flores fight as well. You lost a split decision in that fight. Did you think you did enough to win? I know it was a close fight. So you tell me what you thought.
What do you think?
I thought you won. I thought you got the nod. You got the nod. So
I'll tell you this, man. I came back to the gym out in Vegas, and I had managers that couldn't speak to me because just what the fight was, and then I had managers that were like, you, and even just the other cats are just walking around in the sparring rooms, like, they're like, you think you won that fight? I'm like, fucking A, I thought I won that fight. They're like, yeah, we did too.
yeah.
Did you see that PFL just have their guys all popping for steroids, and Alejandro was on that? And I'll tell you this: when I fought Alejandro, there was the number 2 guy out of Mexico. Guess who's there's 2 Mexican judges.
Okay.
Sure, he didn't get tested, and I'm sure he couldn't do anything wrong that night except for just. And that's, again, I take it on me, and maybe I should have got in there a little bit fucking more and put him on his ass more. But I put him on his ass 3 times. They didn't give that a 10-8 round, and then. Commentary, they're going, well, the heavily favored odds just goes in for Deaton now rather than it's flipped, because Alejandro was the heavy favorite going into that fight. Then it flipped going into the third. Hell of a fight, hell of a fighter. Yeah. But maybe he was on steroids, maybe he wasn't.
I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here and try to talk for what he was when you guys were fighting, but yeah, all those PFL guys that popped, that was pretty crazy. There was 10 different PFL guys that all popped for steroids, and I mean, it almost makes. So let me ask you. I want to ask you, when you were when you were in the PFL, how did their drug tests work? Like, did they work? Like, what was it? Because I feel like they weren't even testing their fighters at that point.
I can't remember if I got tested or not.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's what I was wondering, honestly, is if what the PFL's testing system prior to this year was, because for 10 guys to pop, and for most of those guys to have been in the organization already, it's really like, it makes it seem like, what were you doing prior to this? Like, what was going on beforehand? Because now you have champions popping, and now it's a horrible look. So I don't know. It's very, very strange, very strange. But before that fight in the PFL, you had a boxing match and a bit of a layoff. Tell me a little bit about that time frame in your life, and just why you took a boxing match, and what's up with that.
Staying active in the ring. That was like time of COVID. Okay. So COVID, if you weren't in the UFC, you weren't getting a lot of fights. Michigan had shut down. I moved in, and I moved back to Michigan from Florida. Florida was pretty much shut down except for you're in the UFC. And I haven't been in the UFC yet. So boxing had just opened, and it was just an opportunity. But as soon as that fight went down, then the COVID canceled the boxing. So I had to fight. I got a boxing fight in just to stay active. So that was I would think it was a tough time for everyone in the COVID, what it was.
100%.
And just trying to stay active outside of the big stage, and trying to stay disciplined, and keep getting ready for whatever comes that way. And yeah, it was just the COVID crazy time, and they took everything away from fighters, even the boxing. So maybe open up other news. I just went back to college and graduated. I got a degree in Native American Studies.
Oh, and nice! Congratulations.
Thank you, man. And it made me even broaden my horizons, even more of what I know, and show and stuff like that. So Definitely. Maybe it was curse. I couldn't fight a lot, but I got a degree out of it too. So
no, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, obviously, COVID wasn't a good time for anyone, but at least you were able to pull that positive out of it. Now that even if you wanted to stop fighting ever, you have another avenue that you can go down. You have a degree now, and that's really cool. I think that's a really nice thing. So
thanks, man.
Of course. So other than that, like, what are some other things you like to do outside the cage?
Oh, family.
Okay.
Family 100%. Totally mafioso, man. I love kicking dad, my family. I like big meals, going hunting, fishing, and like healthy lifestyle stuff. I still go walk, camping. Big on the community. So every now and then I'll go back and I help the community. Like old folks homes.
Yes, of course.
There's an old folks home where I'm from, and it's on the res. So I go back and help them out, and I'll go call bingo numbers for them.
Really sweet, man. That's a really nice thing to do. Like you're a fighter in the UFC, and in your free time you go and call old people's numbers at bingo, like during bingo. Like, come on.
I get some fighting tips. They're still fighting. You should see them. Prizes, they go crazy for their soaps, and they go crazy for their little like their toys, whatever
Stop.
their bingo. Yeah,
You have to be the referee sometimes. Break up the fight. Break up the action. Round's over, ladies.
who didn't win?
That's great. All right. So, what are some other things you do with your family? You hunt, you fish, you just free time with your family. That's what you like to do.
Yeah, vacation.
Okay.
Me and we went half on a store. We have a bait and tackle store called Wiggle Worm Woods and Water out of Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
And it's a little river fishing, not salmon fishing, but cat fishing.
Okay.
We make our own spears and lures, and just being a part of that culture, learning more outdoors, and just that's just it, man. I've been around that my whole life, so I like to have fun with it. And then
Okay.
my dad, we made a little business out of it. Nothing crazy, but friends and family and family friends of those families come over like, hey man, you got any string sinkers? You got any extra lights for the poles? You got any extra tackle boxes? Yeah, whatever you
Yeah,
need,
you
man.
got it all, man. That's awesome. That's actually really cool. I don't know if I've ever seen you talk about that, but I really think that's awesome. So, just wanted to ask, you're a Detroit Tigers fan. What other sports teams do you like if you enjoy any other sports and just what do you like why do you enjoy those teams? If is it just location?
Mostly I like
Okay.
watching. I like, yeah, just for location because of
Okay.
Michigan. But I used to like the Raiders.
Oh,
I like watching some Oakland Raiders football back before it was the Vegas Raiders, but I still like the Vegas Raiders now.
okay.
And definitely a good baseball game. I'll watch baseball. And other than that, man, fighting, boxing. I like jujitsu. Was in college wrestling. I like the Big Ten's tournament when it's going down.
Okay.
And then, you know, man, I'll tell you this. I even like bowling.
Ooh, I like bowling too.
I watch some bowling, man.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad's good, really good too. And a couple of people back home, they're nasty on the lanes.
Okay. Why not? I mean, bowling's a fun sport. I have no problem with bowling, so that sounds awesome. So I wanted to ask this last question: is there anyone that well, actually, two. This is two questions. Is there anyone that you almost look up to in a sense on the UFC roster? People that you've been able to learn from, people that you've like watched growing up while fighting, and just are like inspirations towards you. And also, who are some of those guys that maybe you'd like to finally step in the cage with, if you would want to do
Oh yeah, I want the winner of the BMF title,
that? Okay.
that bad bitch title, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wrap Carl Deaton third's waist.
Okay.
Coming up, man, I've been across the world. So anyone who's ever been in the top five, top 10, um, one of my first fighter house I've ever lived in, it was Dave Monet's house, and he
Okay.
was the UFC middleweight champion, and I lived with two other gentlemen, and so the journey started there, picking his brain, watching him, run at night, watching him drill and show us what he knew. That was just in the house. That wasn't even at training. So after training, you're coming home and he's doing his extra and extra. So you're like, okay, what is this? What is this? And then as life goes on, you start putting it together. Like, oh yeah, Dave showed me that, or I learned that from this coach. So anyone of a champion on the level, I've always just watched because I'll tell you this: when you're the man, cool. But if you can stay the man, you're a bad dude at that point because
Of course.
everything's at the highest level, ripping you down, trying to, distractions.
People coming for
So,
you for coming after your belt for years. You're the person that yeah, everyone needs to get through, and no one can get through you. It's I mean, it must be a crazy feeling. Seriously.
right.
Hmm.
So to be truly successful in that time, man, I've looked up to all the greats, and studying them. Just like anyone else does, their movements, there's the habits, everything's online right now. So, you're just reading and listening to people, chat and train, and then you put that into your own training. So I think I've done, rather well for myself. And, like I'm sitting here talking to you about my next UFC fight.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I, I'm from a small town. I graduated with 100 kids, and I was an overweight fat kid that just in the rest.
I actually saw a picture of you that you had posted from when you were a kid. Yeah, you were definitely not an athletic kid to say the least. So
That's a B team, and then now we're so I truly do believe, I'm one of the last of the dying breed. I am
Mhm.
the last, the hardcore old school where we're going to come in and grind. And if your toes fucked up, you're going to tape it and get back on the mat. And we're going to come back here tomorrow and that's just it is what it is.
Yeah, I love that. I love that mentality. I love that about you, and that's really I do believe that that's kind of going out in MMA, that kind of style. So I do like that you're kind of still keeping it alive. All right,
But yeah,
Carl, that's it. I really appreciate everything, and everyone make sure to go watch Carl Deaton's fight against oh god, Alex Munoz against Alex Munoz on July 15th. All right, Carl, thank you for everything, and I'll talk to you soon.
thank you guys. Thank you for having me, man.
Thank you, man. Seriously.